All right, well, good evening. This is Andrew here, and with our Missionary Monday. Unfortunately, it's not Missionary Monday live. Today, God has been testing my resolve to get this video out. We tried to do it live earlier in the day, and several attempts, and my internet connection just would not go. And actually, right now, I have zero internet connection. So I'm doing this. I'm pre-recording it, and we'll put it up as soon as we possibly can. Then I just recorded 20 minutes, and it was outstanding. I mean, it was missionary broadcasting at its best. And then I went to play it back, no sound. It turns out somehow the microphone on this computer had gotten muted. So, haha, no sound. So this has been kind of a frustrating day as far as that goes, but we are bound and determined to do this video. I will record this video if it's the last thing I do. Um, so, lots of cool stuff going on. I'm going to go kind of fast here because I've done this like 5 times already today. I'm going to talk about a lot of things, and there'll be links down underneath your Facebook page or the YouTube if you're watching this on YouTube, and you can check out those links. The biggest adventure we had earlier, you can check out this. I've got it on video. I've got some pictures. We were leaving for church on Wednesday for a prayer meeting, and we drove out of the driveway and down a dirt road that goes about 800 meters to where the dirt road meets the main road, and we go to church. And just a few meters before we hit the main road, I thought there was a big branch in the road, but as we got closer, we realized that the big branch was moving. It was actually a very large boa constrictor that was right in front of the car. I say very large. It was about 1.5 meters, maybe 2 meters. I've seen bigger. They get a lot bigger, but this one was big enough. You'll see in the video. You watch the video, look at the pictures, you'll see. And it had just eaten. You'll see a little bulge in the thing somehow. Someone asked if we had on Facebook if we had to give make a sacrifice to the snake before we could move on, and I said yes, and we're really going to miss Nathaniel. That's just kidding. We did not sacrifice our secondborn or our firstborn. We did get out of the car, take some pictures, and it was great. So these great pictures. You see the snake in the video. You see the snake crawling off into the underbrush. He went his way. I got back in the car. We went our way, and that's the way we like it. It's actually seeing this kind of snake here is common in this area. It's actually the first one I've seen live so close to where I live. So, but that's just been because I've been lucky. I haven't seen these snakes. Uh, People ask how we deal with that if a snake actually like that came to the house. Well, we have a early warning system in the form of 2 dogs that bark very loud and are very excitable. So at the first sign of movement, they're going to be barking, and we're going to be able to deal with it. And they're very slow-moving snakes, so it's not a case of you have to. No, you can usually take care of them very quickly. So that was a little excitement we had. Pray for our church. Church is doing well. We are. I feel our people are growing spiritually. We haven't grown numerically in the past year, and in fact, usually we have baptisms at conference time, which would be in October. Talk a little bit more about that. As far as I know, we don't have any baptisms coming up, and in fact, Sunday we actually had to remove one young lady from membership because of a life choice that she made that is not consistent with a good testimony, and so we had to do that. Very sad. Very. It's not, church planners, we like to be adding members, not taking them away, but it's something necessary, something had to be done. Pray for this young lady. Her heart would be tender. And she's still coming to church, hearing the gospel, hearing the word of God, to pray that God would work in her heart. And we have another young man who has basically abandoned the church, and so we'll be, unless he turns around and comes back and so on, we'll be excluding him as well. Once again, not the kind of thing church planners like to be talking about. We like to be talking about all the people we're bringing in, not the people that are leaving. So pray for us in that respect. Things are going great in the movement. One of my fellow pastors, Pastor Marcelo, this year they've added 15 people. So we're very excited about that. That's our mother church, and he's just come in with a bunch of energy. Be praying for him also. He's going on a trip next week. Or next month. He has a contact in the interior of the state, and so he's taking a group of people there to have some Bible studies and see if we might be able to get our foot in the door for that. I won't be there because I'll be in another state doing 2 conferences. One is an English conference. This is fruit of a Sunday school class that we did back before our first furlough. The young people of a church came to me and said, "Hey, we'd like you to do a Sunday school class in English." And so we did that. And after we left, I thought, well, when I'm leaving, it'll die. It didn't. They kept doing it in English, and then they started every year an English conference. And for several years, they've been trying to get me to come down, and finally it worked out this time where I was able to do that. So in October, I'll be doing that. And then in the following week, also in the state of Ceará, I'll be doing a conference for the seminary. So we've got a lot of neat things coming up at the English conference. The theme is secularism versus Christianity. I'm really looking forward to talking about that one. Secularism is one of the biggest threats we face here. When missionaries would come to Brazil, they used to be talk about opposition they got from the Catholic Church. That doesn't happen anymore. In fact, many times we find ourselves as co-belligerents, even though there's chasms of difference theologically, but there are some basic assumptions that we have in common that secularism is trying to destroy, and so sometimes we actually find ourselves as co-belligerents with Roman Catholics as we confront the secularism that is exploding in the Brazilian culture. And so, very interesting. I'm very excited to be able to present this material. And then at the seminary retreat, I'm going to be talking a little bit about pastoral leadership. And I've been out of the seminary now for about 5 years and in actual church ministry full time. And so I have a lot of stuff I want to tell seminary students based on what I've been able to observe in the last 5-6 years. So lots of really neat stuff going on. Looking forward very much. Can't speak English anymore. Looking forward very much to that trip. A couple more links down below. We have you look down below, you'll see a link for camp ministry tomorrow. Packing the family up into the car and driving 2 hours to the camp. I got to pay the guys who've been doing work there, make sure the work's getting done. The work they're doing is basically cutting grass and a couple of little maintenance things. The construction work is stopped, and so there's going to be a link underneath your thing that shows you the things underneath this video. It shows you the things that need to be done still and how much those things cost. And what I'd like you to do is look at those. Some of them aren't very expensive, like there's one toilet underneath, and purchasing a toilet's not really that much. And so what we need basically is the toilets and some other fixtures, sink, shower heads, the divisors between the toilets, all of the the ceramic tile has already been put in, all of the plumbing is already put in. We just need these fixtures and doors and so on to go in, and we're good to go. So look at that link and pray, and I'd like you to pray and say, maybe you could help us out. Once we get the bathroom finished, then we'll start work on and raising funds for the pavilion. And the pavilion is going to be key for us to be able to have activities there. Without it, we can't really have activities there. Here where we are, from about 10 o'clock to about 4 o'clock, it's unbearably hot. So outside activities, unless you're in the pool, unless you're in the water, outside activities are kind of hard during that time. And so if we have a pavilion, then we can do activities under the shade of the pavilion, and we can use that pavilion also for dining area, and at night we can use it for services. And also we'll have a small kitchen attached so that we'll be able to actually cook the food there and serve it, so on. So that's our next project. That project is going to actually be easier than the bathroom because there's not going to be as many fixtures. It's basically just going to be columns and a roof and a floor, and then a little kitchen to the side. The kitchen will need a sink and what have you, but that won't be that as complicated as the bathrooms have been. So that should go up faster and even be possibly cheaper in price. Haven't got the whole big picture of how much that's going to cost me yet. But that can't be done until the bathrooms are done. When we did the bathrooms, I mentioned this before, the bathrooms we did first because without bathrooms, it's just really uncomfortable. You can't do anything. So, bathrooms are almost done. We just need that additional funding to push us over the top on that, and we're good to go. So there's that link. Then I have a link. There will be a link there. A few weeks ago, I was able to go with the pastors to the state conference in the state of Seattle. It's a 14-hour trip. So to pass the time, took my GoPro, clipped it to the dashboard, and did some little videos along the way. So it's kind of like a travelogue, little 2-3 minute videos showing some of the sceneries, showing some of the cultural aspects and things that we see along the way. Interesting, even some kind of a couple of funny little things that happened along the way. Some really even some heartrending things that we saw along the way. That's as much as I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to spoil it for you. Watch the videos. There's about 17 clips, and I have them all grouped into one playlist on YouTube, and that playlist is linked down below. So you can check that out and watch through those. Some of the people that have watched, I put some individual ones on Facebook a while back. Some people looked at them and they were really impressed by the scenery, some of the things they saw. Some of my friends who live in the U.S. who spent time in Brazil said the videos made them homesick. So get that little alert too. And so then we were there and we were at this conference, and I have a friend named Daniel, and I'm going to kill a bug. Ha! Part of living in Brazil. And I have a friend named Daniel and Danielle, and Danielle is the chief photographer. He and I have been friends since Bible college. And he was the chief photographer there for our conference. The theme of our conference was dispensationalism, and so it was really neat. And he took a ton of pictures and put them up on Facebook, and I'm going to have the link down there for the album that he put together on Facebook. You'll be able to see all the pictures from the conference, including some of yours truly. There's a couple of me we had a Q&A time, and so he took pictures while I was asking a question. I look very, like I'm about ready to bite someone's head off, I guess. But there was a lot of pictures. There were a lot of pictures that needed a caption, and so I grouped a bunch of them together, used my Comic Life program, and made a little vignette, I guess, of with captions, speech bubbles and so on, of what those people might be saying. So you can click on that. That link's there also. You can click on that and read what I wrote. It's in English. I made one in Portuguese too. You can go through Facebook and find that if you're interested. So there's that link that is there also. And so those are basically the links that I have. Let me just make sure. Oh yeah, I'm also going to put a link, and you can check this out. Some of you follow me on Instagram, but if you don't, I would encourage you to, because every day or every other day I post pictures, and the pictures usually have something to do with Brazilian culture, life in Brazil, or mission work. And so that's a good, snapshot into what we do as missionaries and the kind of the area that we lived. Kind of give you a kind of a feel of what life here is like. And we'd love for you to come and visit. But if it's not possible to come to visit, I guess the next best thing, other than watching these videos and listening to me tell you about life here, would be going to the Instagram page and scrolling down and subscribing, and then seeing the pictures that we throw there, because you get a lot of local color. I try to put a lot of local color, and there's a picture of the snake there. A lot of stuff going on that I put on there that's really interesting, and people find interesting about what happened here. Today, of course, was Eclipse Day, and the eclipse here in Brazil for us was a big bust. First of all, it wasn't a total eclipse. Here in Brazil, and we didn't have the right equipment, and so we didn't see it was a partial eclipse. We didn't really even see that much. It wasn't enough of one so that we could see it with what we had. I was watching all the pictures of you guys taking those and so on. My son Michael has really developed an interest in planets and astronomy, and has really become good. He's downloaded all kinds of apps, and so what made it for us today was that he got a notice that the International Space Station was going to be flying over, and And right behind our house, there's a large field that's actually a soccer field. And so we have a perfect place to go out, and there's not too many lights around. So we have a perfect place to go out and see things like this. So we ran out, second time we've done this, and watched the International Space Station go overhead. And that's become like a thing for us. Michael says, "Hey, the International Space Station's coming over," so we go out and run through. So that was our day. We didn't really get to see the eclipse, but we saw the International Space Station. So I got a couple pictures up there, not of the space station, but related to the eclipse and so on our Instagram page, which is what made me think of it. The house is coming along. We're obviously living in it. It's all built. I'm putting together some furniture for my office. Hopefully we'll get that done. And you guys can't see everything kind of piled up against the wall because I don't have a place to put it. So we're working on that. We're working on we need to get a stove for my wife. Our stove that we had, it's for all of us, not just for my wife, but our stove that we had, it sustained some damage over furlough. And so now only the top works, not the oven. The oven does not work, so we're limited in what we can cook. So we're working on a church in Pennsylvania. One of our supporting churches, Limestone, sent us a gift for that, and we're trying to save up for the remainder, and then be able to buy a stove. That's the next project, and then closets for the bedroom, and then the wall out front, and probably some piping, some new water piping, and eventually putting a well in. Lots of stuff to do. We're just so grateful to actually be in this house. And we've had several people visit us already, and that's just what we like to do. We love to have people over. We like to have you over. Now, for most of you, that's a commute. But let's do it. In fact, speaking of commutes, in October, I mentioned we're going to be having our conference. October is the 500th anniversary of the Protestant Reformation. Right now in our Sunday school class, I'm doing little vignettes every Sunday morning in the adult Sunday school class on the life of a different reformer. I've done John Wycliffe, John Huss. Next week is Martin Luther. I'm not sure. I might do the Valdenses in there somewhere. But anyway, next week is Martin Luther. And then for our conference, our annual conference at our church, this next month, not next month, in October, the theme is The Reformation Continues, and my friend, very good friend, and also pastor of one of our supporting churches, but friend from before he was pastor of that church, Pastor Brian King from West Windsor Baptist Church. He's going to be coming down, and he's going to be speaking on the theme of the Reformation. And the theme is The Reformation Continues. Looking forward to that. And another thing that you can be praying about at our pastors' meeting today, we set up a Bible training course for lay leaders. This is a curriculum that one of my missionary colleagues, Daniel Ruley, is in charge of. He inherited it from Bill Kettlewell, who is another one of my colleagues and has since retired. We miss him greatly here on the field, but he handed over that ministry to Daniel Ruley, and Daniel's doing a bang-up job. And we feel the need for trained lay leaders in our churches, and so we're setting up this Bible course, and myself and a couple other pastors are going to be teaching the courses, and it goes everywhere from Bible study methods to church history and everything in between, Christian living, doctrines, Bible surveys, and so on. 10 different modular courses, and so we're setting that up, and just pray for commitment on the part of our people. And this is, I'm sure you guys know what this is all about. You guys are in ministry. You know what this is all about. A lot of times, things that have to do with the church and church life take a back seat to other things that come up, and it can be anything like a birthday party, and suddenly the things that have been planned for months in the church take a back seat. So, and be praying that our people would take this seriously and understand the importance and the necessity of this. It's huge. And so just be praying that God would be impressing on people's minds in our churches the necessity of this. We as pastors, we're committed to it. We're jumping in with both feet, and we're going to make it happen. But we can't make it happen if nobody comes. What do you do when you have a school and nobody comes? So that's it's the only financial requirement of the people is that they buy the books, which is 20 reais, which is less than $10 for each modular course. So it's a deal, and they're getting a quality course and something that'll be beneficial to them personally and to their churches. So pray for us for this, and we're just extremely excited about it, but at the time apprehensive, hoping that it will be bought into by people of the church. Well, that's about all the time I have. I try to keep these things 20 minutes. I've gone over that a little bit. So hopefully this time, this recording will actually work, and I'll be able to post it. My internet still has not come back. When it does come back, probably tomorrow, Tuesday, sometime I'll be posting this. But it was recorded on Monday, so it counts as Missionary Monday. All right. And if you have any questions, be sure to send them to me. I'd be happy to answer them, or try to answer them. And if you have any comments, leave them in the comment section. That'd be wonderful. And we'll see you next week. Bye.